Hi everyone, it's Oge here. So I had this great idea to get back into my meditation practice that I had before of an hour a day by challenging myself to do it for an hour a day for the next 7 days. Now I've done this before in terms of meditating for an hour for longer periods of time during 2 Vipassana courses and immediately after them when I got back home. I'd like to really dig deep and connect and push my mental capabilities and see how deep I can actually go, and felt even more connected with people, with earth, with the world around me when I was meditating. It has been some time since I've meditated for that long, consistently for a given amount of time. And also, just because I did it before doesn't mean that new thoughts have just stopped coming in and new emotions and new feelings just stopped, developing. It's a practice. Meditation is really truly about the journey and not the end goal. So in doing so, practicing, I'm just increasing the time. I'd love to show you all and share with you my reflections after each session and just see where it takes me. Meditation is the only time I spend when I'm in my body without doing anything. And all I do is basically follow my breath and notice what I'm feeling, notice what thoughts may come up, but really just being. And I really miss that dedicated amount of time of doing that. So this is kind of the jumpstart to get me back into that space. Meditating for an hour is a fairly long time, and to you, you may be like, where's the time? But I plan on meditating first thing when I get up. And I think that either getting up earlier or just dedicating that first hour to just be with my thoughts and be consciously awake, not sleeping, would be best for me. Meditation for that long also seems to help release thoughts that are weighing me down. It really is this sort of energetic release, for me at least, where I sit and I just feel lighter at the end of my session. So here goes. That was harder than I thought. I'm tired. Yeah, I'm tired. An hour meditation. I haven't done that in a very, very long time, and it was challenging, very challenging. And not that I couldn't stay still necessarily. I was somewhere in between being conscious and unconscious, and in terms of still being asleep, but I was aware of it. There were so many thoughts. And usually in the morning, I will spend some time writing. I didn't do that this morning. I would have also, within that writing, I would have gone through a list of things that I'm grateful for. I didn't do that this morning. I literally just went straight into meditation. There are many thoughts that came up and thoughts that I really just allowed my mind to run with. And then there were moments where I brought myself back to the breath. In the first 5, I would say between 5 to 10 minutes, I felt that my body was re-energized in a way. I felt tingly sensations and excitement, like ready to do this. And then that slowly faded away and went into the stream of thoughts that just kept coming in. And a lot of it was focused on my to-do list and things that I want to do and how I will execute those things. And then once I noticed, I came back to my breath and I'm still tired. And I went to bed at a fairly decent hour, around 10:30, I believe. It's only day 1, but we're gonna do this. And it will bring me back into my practice. I don't want to say religiously, but with more discipline. And I really enjoyed where I was And I really enjoyed what came out of meditating for an hour daily. It's 8 o'clock in the morning and everybody and their mama wants to make noise. I may need to wake up an hour earlier. Not looking forward to that. Well, that's day 1. I do feel more grounded, centered, clear-minded. So yeah, we'll see. Day 2. I have to say that overall, day 2 was a lot better than yesterday. Where my mind went to for today was more somatic, more in my body. I was really feeling where there was soreness, tension, and I had a boxing class yesterday. So the main areas were, my left shoulder and my upper back, but not as much on my right arm, which is why I think that today, my session of meditation really brought attention towards the shoulder and a little bit of my upper spine on the left side. I really could feel it, and it was like, as my attention grew in those areas, it was like I could feel tingly sensations towards those areas. It felt like there was like a rush of blood going to those areas to help it out, to heal it. So very, very somatic. And my attention, I guess my thoughts weren't chaotic today. It was really more of a focus on my muscles and body. I did feel lighter. And even towards the end of the hour, I felt my shoulders felt lighter. Today, a lot of ideas also came up, but just creativity really spoke to me today. Ideas and certain messages for what I should do within the immediate and long term. One is that I wasn't planning on going to yoga today. I was actually going to go to the beach and practice Qigong with a capoeira professor, also a Qigong instructor. But my body wanted to go to yoga. And then I was planning on doing that after yoga, but right after the meditation, go to yoga. And now that I look back, because I'm doing this reflection later on in the day, and I was supposed to be there after the yoga class, I witnessed someone go through an epileptic seizure, and intuitively, I just went to her aid along with a few other folks that were there. But for me, I felt like I was supposed to be there in a way, and there wasn't any hesitation. I just felt called to be there and to be there throughout the entire process, making sure that she was okay. That was, now that I think about it, really scary, but also it brought up some other feelings for me in terms of epiphanies. So I'm going to sit with these thoughts, but bringing it back to the meditation, I felt a need to go to yoga. And I think my explanation, the logic behind why, yoga would be a good idea, is because maybe to stretch out my shoulders from the boxing class, really stretch my body, since I didn't stretch as much after the class or even before the class. That was my brain explaining why I should go to yoga, but I think that I was supposed to be there. Other than that, I sat through the full hour and I feel my body kind of getting right back into the rhythm of things. So who knows? We'll see what day 3 brings. Hey, day 3. Feeling good today. Today I decided to sit on the chair and have my feet grounded instead of sitting with my legs crossed. And for me, that is more comfortable. And I'm not sure if it's because of my alignment within my body or just the idea of just being able to sit. I did put a pillow behind my back to allow for the my pelvis to have space, like curl up. In terms of my thoughts, I found that I felt energetically lighter. Again, there were a lot of thoughts. So within like 15, 20 minutes, I found myself dwelling in my thoughts, but then bringing myself back to the breath, which I found that I would be able to do faster. Yeah, a lot of creativity, I tell this to people, to as many creatives as I can, but if they don't have a meditation practice, I definitely suggest that people do have one, especially during the times of mental blocks that you just feel like you can't create or ideas aren't coming or flowing as easily. It could just mean that you need to slow down and be with self. So for me, when I meditate, I find that I have a lot of ideas that come, and I feel like I want to write them down, but then I remind myself that it's about the non-doing in meditation. So today, day 3, I have 4 more days. One thing I can say is that I felt the need to dance today, right after my meditation. So I did that. I danced for about 30 minutes. Danced and did some yoga and did some boxing moves that I recently learned. So that felt good, and I really felt grounded. I think the idea of having your feet on the ground, it allows for you to imagine that you're a tree rooted into the ground with your feet on the surface. So I may sit again on a chair, or I don't know, but this is definitely bringing me back to that space that I was in when I did meditate for an hour before. I also used headphones this time because there's construction going on around me. So I do try to meditate without them so I can listen to the birds singing and nature, but I don't want to hear drilling and banging and all of that during my session. So I use headphones this time. I can understand how it can be difficult to clear some time for meditation, especially this morning. I went to bed really late last night, but I still had my alarm set. I still had this promise to myself to follow through with this challenge and see where it brings me. So I did feel a bit tired, but after the meditation, I'm wide awake now. Good morning. So today's session was interesting. There's so many different thoughts that came up outside of the meditation after it. Before this challenge, and even before, really dedicating time to meditation, I noticed that my internal voice was very critical. I was definitely hard on myself. And I still am to a certain degree, but I noticed that my internal voice really wanted me to be perfect. And that just made things challenging for me, not only in my inside world, but my outside world. So I've made it a point to be more intentional with what I say to myself, what I think of myself. I don't necessarily have to be so hard on myself. What I'm doing is just enough. It's enough. And I know that I am one of those people that wants to accomplish a lot, and that literally is something that intrinsically is me, if that makes any sense. But I've really slowed down to appreciate the journey of whatever it is that I want to execute. And before, I had this internal timeline of when things should be done, and I'm the one that sets these timelines. And I mean, there's also the influence of societal beliefs and just societal views on when someone should be married, when someone should have kids, when just the pressures of society as a whole. And I have released and am continuing to release all of that. My life and my timeline is my timeline. So shifting that internal voice of knowing that I'm good enough, knowing that I am in a space of more positivity, and I don't even know if that's the right word, but this session, I noticed that internal voice was very supportive, very, positive, really basically bigging up myself. And that felt good. That felt really good, not only in my heart, but physically felt good. I felt lighter. And even though I still have these long lists in my head of things that I want to do, things that need to get done, I'm more in the space of just being present and appreciating where I am today, and knowing that where I will be tomorrow will be just that, where I'll be, right? and taking this time to slow down and really center and ground myself, what it should look like or when I should reach that destination. So this morning's session was a very insight-invoking session. Now I am dedicating the rest of the day to be productive, and it feels good. I feel grounded, I feel centered. So I do have a more of a clear understanding of what it is that I want to do for today and for the next few weeks, actually. Being able to dedicate time for introspection, for reflection, I think is so important. And I am going to pat myself on the back for taking this time out to really dive back into something that I really appreciate and honor and see the benefits of within my internal world and how I interact with the people around me. Today was a little different, well, a lot different. I decided to meditate later on in the day. I had some stuff to do in the morning and the day just got ahead of me, but I made it a point to find some time to meditate today. And today was different because not only because of the time being in the morning, but also because it's later on in the day. I found that even though I set my phone on Do Not Disturb, I was still getting messages, which was distracting. The vibration was distracting because I use my phone as a timer, but I just brought myself back to the breath. But that was very distracting, and my mind was thinking about what the messages were and the time and what I have to do because I'm going to have some people over in a few. So it was kind of like checking something off the box rather than using this other tool to ground myself, even though it did help to ground me. Just an interesting day, to say the least. So I think because of the distractions, agitation started to creep in, agitation within my body, frustration within my body. But before I started getting messages on my phone, I found that I was really able to connect deeper into certain parts of my body that I haven't consciously been able to focus on. And I don't know, the words aren't coming to me on how to describe this, but I can say that I feel a lot of releasing happening, releasing from parts that have been very stagnant, very blocked, which is amazing. Honestly amazing. So after this meditation, even though there was distractions, external distractions, I felt lighter at the end of it. It's actually becoming more and more easy, and I'm sticking to it. Even the days that I don't get to in the morning, I'm going to continue to stick to it. So I have, today is day 5. What a day. We're at the home stretch. We are at the home stretch, and I'm glad that you are all on this journey with me. One of the main reasons why I decided to get back into meditation at this magnitude of an hour a day is because I've noticed that, at least for me, it feels like time is just getting ahead of me. And I know time is honestly just a construct, to say the least, but I find that being able to take the time out for myself for an hour a day slows things down and gives me more of a better perspective on what's important. So it's been a challenge, but yet a blessing that I decided to do this. And noticing that as thoughts come up, I'm able to look at them from a distant view and not necessarily analyze them, but just understand from another standpoint. I found my mind going back to the past, which was interesting because I haven't actually spent time thinking about happy childhood moments, but it wasn't necessarily the moment, it was the feeling, the sensation of the moment of how my body felt. And that was interesting because it brought me back to a time where all of the muck that we develop as adults, all of the fears, anxieties, experiences, traumas that we develop and experience as the years go by, it starts to accumulate, and you just don't have the same feeling somatically, energetically that you did when you were younger. So I don't know what that means, but I definitely felt there was a distant memory that, oh, this is what my body felt like at a certain age. Never experienced that before. Well, consciously being able to see that. I can't say this enough, but being able to set aside time for self-reflection, stillness is so important. And that's the medicine you need, being able to see what's going on within yourself and look at it from a scientific standpoint, as in you being a scientist to yourself, you being the experiment and the subject, and also being the scientist. It's a beautiful thing. Today was the last day, and today has been one of those days that has presented itself to be a test. Taking this time out to sit in stillness and be with self and notice where my mind goes, and being able to ground myself and center myself. It actually is challenging to sit in stillness for that amount of time, but it's easy to feel centered because there aren't any external factors. So today was a lesson in, yes, you can sit for this amount of time in stillness and be able to observe and scan and really be in the practice of meditation. But what about your external world? You're not going to be living by yourself. You're not going to be without people. But when people say things or do things that are not as favorable, how do you then find your center, ground yourself in those spaces that may seem chaotic? And today was a lesson in that it put the mirror in front of my face of, you've been practicing this. Now is the time to put it into action, which I did after a certain amount of time, but not immediately. But so one, I can say that this whole week has prepared me for today, because I feel that prior to this week, I may have reacted differently. And so knowing and learning and growing within this time span of practicing mindfulness and being able to truly understand that it's within the discipline amongst the chaos. So I'm only able to do or control my own reaction to things. And that is where this practice really helps you tune in to yourself. I'm extremely grateful for that. And I see that it allows for you to pause in the moments of chaos. I'm noticing that my heart is beating fast. I'm noticing that I may be choked up. I'm noticing that I'm becoming emotional based off of someone else's words, how they're expressing themselves to me. So what is it about what they're saying affects me? Or I could be waiting for, the response from a client or something with work, and it's just not going as fast or in the direction I would like it to go. Honestly, only control my response and how I may or may not internalize it. This was a fun experiment, and I may not continue with an hour a day, even though I do see the benefits of it. I may do 30 minutes. It's important for me to dedicate time to ground myself. I thank you for rocking with me through this video and being a part of this experiment, so to speak. And let me know if you've tried this before and what the results were. Did you continue practicing for an hour? Was it something that, you didn't think that you would be able to accomplish, or anything? Honestly, what came up for you during this time? If this is something that you've done and it's something that you haven't done and you're interested in doing, so please just let me know in the comments as well. I'd love to support in whatever way that I can. I mean, you don't need much, just a quiet place to sit and a timer, really. And I'd love to contribute in some way. And if it's just by doing videos like this to inspire the next person, I am here for it. So this was a great challenge, and it was really a jumpstart for myself to move forward in getting back to habits that were really meaningful to me. And I find that having habits and a routine is grounding for me. Some people can live with the non-routine. I find comfort in the routine. It's like having something that's consistent and stable because of everything else that I do that's unstable in terms of life choices. So having some sort of stability allows for me to be able to then work my way on top of that foundation with whatever it is that I decide. But as long as my foundation is strong, solid, and stable, then I feel that it only allows me to be the best version of myself. And in this, I am forever grateful. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next one. And if this video has inspired you in any type of way, please let me know. Maybe share, comment, subscribe, anything that feels right to you. And I will see you all on the next one. Peace.